Several of you have heard me say this before, but I never tire of repeating it. Those of us who work on sanctions outside of Ukraine know just how much you are suffering in Ukraine. On a daily basis, we know the sacrifice of your men and women in the front line, fighting for your freedom and your sovereignty. We know the suffering of civilians who are being targeted. We know the suffering of the families of the 20,000 children who were abducted. So when we talk about the nitty-gritty of sanctions and the mechanics, we never lose sight of the context in which this is happening and what your country is suffering from the Russian aggression. But not just your country, because your fight is not just for your freedom and your sovereignty, but it is for the stability and peace and freedom on this continent. And we are very aware of that. And we thank you. We thank you for that sacrifice. And we hope that maybe the peace talks can lead to some progress. We would love to see peace. I imagine nobody would love to see peace more than the Ukrainians. But obviously it cannot be a peace which gives Mr. Putin at the negotiating table what he was unable to win on the battlefield. And you have our full support in all of this. On the issue of sanctions, we'll go into the details later, so I don't have a lot new to add just at the moment. Except to say sanctions are working. I mean, this is something I have a lengthy speech that I give on why sanctions are working, but I think we constantly need to remind ourselves that after 3 years, and in our case, 19 packages, but we've had similar efforts by all of the sanctioning coalition, the UK, the US, Canada, Japan. The sanctions are really beginning to bite, and we can see the stress and the strain on the Russian economy. I'm not going to pretend it's going to end the war tomorrow, but this is the moment to really press home that pressure, because I think with an extra effort, we can really increase the pain and the challenges for Russia to sustain their economy in the face of the spending which is going into this war. We've had the 19 package where we have further done the restrictions on Russia's oil and Russia's energy revenues and the fight against the shadow fleet, which we've discussed on other occasions. The issue of financial sanctions, Madam Prime Minister, as you mentioned, is hugely important, especially, I agree with you, the area of crypto, where we've done a lot of work also with the UK colleagues. I do want to emphasize maybe that it's not about one package or the next package. This is going to be a continuous process. As long as this horrible war of aggression continues, we will constantly need to adapt, to refine, to improve, to address new areas and loopholes which we identify. So this will be a constant work in progress. I hope that we've already done a lot with the 19th. We're talking about the 20th, but believe me, as long as this horrible war continues, there will be a 21st and a 22nd and a 23rd. The only variant maybe, which we would like to see, and I know a number of member states are keen on this too, maybe to have a bit more flexibility for some of the designations and the listings, that we don't always have to proceed by packages, which are very complex to negotiate. And of course, we are well aware of the issue of the sovereign assets. This is very complicated, to use a Facebook phrase, but I think everyone in the EU is determined to find a way forward. There are some very legitimate concerns on the part of our member states as to exactly the legal structure. It's not simple, but I'm certain that everyone is very determined to find a way to leverage these assets to benefit Ukraine and to find a way forward. And I think in the next few weeks, I hope we'll be able to make progress. So thank you very much for the invitation. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. It's great to see so many of our member states and our partners, such as the UK and others. I hope that we can leave today with a renewed commitment to the role that sanctions can play in helping Ukraine continue its struggle for sovereignty and freedom and democracy. Thank you.